Yeah,
We're
keep the
gonna move
conversation
on.
going.
Yes, as Cornelia said, because we're going to talk about, this is a story that actually Cornelia dug up, and then it sparked something in me to say, you know what, let me bring my brother into this conversation. He is an educator down in Southern California, and let me get to the topic first. This is about those fidget spinners. Have you guys heard of these fidget spinners?
Now I have.
Now you have. Okay, so I'm going to bring my brother up here. He does, like I said, he's an educator in the special education department, Southern California, Los Osos High School. Say hello, brother.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Mr. Tellis, if you will.
Hello.
So I want to know from you, Gregory, if you can talk to me about how fidget spinners have affected your ability to teach properly in the classroom, because according to this Huffington Post article, it's saying that fidget spinners, teachers are just fed up with them and they want them to be gone because originally they were for ADD, ADHD students to allow them to be a little bit less distracted in class. But talk to me about what they are and then how it's affected you.
The emergence of these fidget little spinner things started coming up in the mainstream about 4 months ago. In the special ed department, they've been around for a very long time. However, they've come in a lot bigger sense, as in the cubes. The cubes had different functions, such as you could press buttons, you could switch switches, you could do several things which help the fine motor skills of those with ADD, ADHD, those are more on the autism spectrum. But it's become more mainstream over the years and recently over the months, where you easily customize them, making different colors, different ball bearings. It's sort of like how people compare vapes and vape mods. It's kind of how these kids compare spinner mods and different things. So in the classroom, they are very prevalent. They're outside a lot more than usual. However, these are different kids where they're not us. They were born post-2000. They were born with a cell phone on their hand, on their person all the time. They're used to multiple intelligences have been used, and they know how to function with multiple things going on. So with spinning in their hand, as they usually do.
And we're taking a look at them right now on the screen, just so you know.
Okay. They know how to function. They know how to study. They know how to pay attention. A lot of today's students get a lot of bad rap with the millennial labels, but their way of thinking is so much more advanced than we were in our generation before, and so on. So yeah, a lot of teachers may find them annoying and distracting, which they can be. However, through moderation, anything's possible. So it's really, as educators, as you guys talked about before, we're still a customer service based business, if you will. So we have to learn to make it work, as the one guy did say.
Trisha Stainbrook, by the way, as we bring you in, says, my daughter teaches 5th grade and hates them. So clearly this is becoming a problem, as you mentioned, for educators who are dealing with kids who are taking advantage of it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When it comes to elementary, I really have no experience in the elementary spectrum. In the high school, they know what to do. They know what not to do. We ask them to put away, and they do. And the younger, I can imagine that that person teaching 5th grade can have a lot more problems. So I do sympathize with that person.
Yeah. And then the question is, again, how easy is it to get these? Because at one point Dina found there's an app where you can pull them on your app as well. So it's not just the handheld toy or device. It's also an app where you can play with it on your phone. So are we seeing double duty, or is it just right now?
And I'm curious, is the app even the same thing, or is this just kind of an excuse to now have kids get on their phones? Because I don't know if this does the same thing for those who actually have the ADD and ADHD.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Have you seen kids with the app in the classroom, Gregory?
I have not, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
So, you know, as everyone wants an excuse to go on their phone. You know, I have homework, I have this, and when you go on their phone, they know how to go on multiple apps, close them out, put them back up. They know what to do and what not to do. The app thing is just a fad, just as these spinners are, even though these spinners have been around for a long time. Much like the tech decks. Remember back in our day, a lot of people had the tech decks, and it was just a manipulative that the students used while they had anxiety or stress or they were just bored. I mean, there are kids still at this high school now that still work with tech decks. There's a group of kids that's sitting 30 feet away from me. They're doing it right now. So, yeah.
And we're getting more comments. Cornelia, do you want to read some of these?
Oh, yeah. Let's take a look. So we have right now, Tom Ozzy said the issue with spinners is the same issue with cell phones. If you have your phone on a table during a meeting or class, you're subconsciously thinking about that phone. With the spinner, you're actually engaging with something else other than what your prime attention should be on.
Right.
So, yeah. there's two sides, because again, it can be harmless and it can actually help some kids.
Right.
But then sometimes you have issues with kids who don't necessarily need them abusing
the
that
right
access.
And Jacqueline Cawthon, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing your name, says, my daughter has severe ADHD and has both the cube and spinner. It helps her stay focused on the schoolwork instead of losing focus at school. So clearly, for the parents out there who are watching with kids who use these for the right reasons, you don't want something like this to be taken away. Yeah. So I'm hoping that the schools can come up with some sort of a solution to allow them. Maybe it means you have to have a doctor's note. Maybe it means you have to have some sort of, you know, parental guidance form filled out where you are actually allowed to have it, and the kids who haven't provided that information can't.
One last question, Gregory, before we wrap this up. Have there been conversations, now that this has become mainstream, these fidget spinners, have there been conversations at Los Osos High School or surrounding schools with your educator friends about these fidget spinners and taking them away? And then what does that mean for those who are on the spectrum who use them and utilize them?
There are different parts of the spectrum. There's a low end, the high end. Those in general ed classes with included students on the higher end of the spectrum. The conversation has been there where we do have to work with them, because that's what we're supposed to do as educators. We're supposed to adapt, assimilate, and provide the best education that we can. And with them, it's not official per their IEP or anything, but if we find a way to help them focus and study better with the fidget, then by all means. But like anything else, everything works most beneficial through moderation. If it's constantly out and it causes more of a distraction, then we do have to ask them to put it away, much like the cell phones.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much for your insight, brother. Have a good day at school. I know we're up and chipper, and it's only, what, 8? What time is it? I can't see the clock.
8:36.
It's only 8:36. You have a good day. Love you.
Love you.
Okay,
bye.
Bye. Again, Gregory Tellis. Mr.
Great
Tellis.
insight. Yes. Great insight.
And he's much more, when it comes, like, I'm like rules, regulations, it's always about that. He's much more of like, hey, there's a way to adapt and overcome, which was our father's philosophy in life, adapt and overcome. So shout out to brother.
And if any of you watching this right now, if you are a professional, if you are somebody who is in a position to talk about any of the topics that we have here on Extra Shot, we would love to Skype you in, to FaceTime you in.
Easy.
You know, if there is something that you're passionate about that we haven't yet talked about and you would like us to and be a part of the conversation, write in the comments, because we would love to bring in our viewers and even those just with strong opinions. We would love to bring in a couple of you every day. So let us know.
Melissa Clark, did you already read her comment?
Not yet.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
I just see it pop up
so
here.
Melissa Clark says, this has been amazing. My son, who had ADHD, is not as fidgety. It has done wonders. I would get a doctor's note if needed. So if it turns to that, and if that's a solution where we can all be happy and you can have your cake and eat it too, then maybe that's where we got to go with it.
Or maybe even as on a school level, if this is something that's helping students, maybe this is something that the school can offer for kids in need.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Like if you're in a class where you need special attention, this is now something
part of the curriculum.
Part of the curriculum. Or as a teacher, just pass them out. How much are they? Do we have a price point on them?
Somebody on here said that they're very affordable. Joel David said, I think it's great, helpful for kids with ADHD, and it's affordable for many. I know a lot of families growing up, I had a lot of friends who had ADHD and had to take medication for it. So if you can
This is an alternative?
If you can replace the medication with something like this, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but you know, if that could be of some use to people, then I say we got to find a way to make it work.
Well, like Gregory was saying with the modifications, it's becoming so trendy and mainstream with kids saying, oh, I'm going to add some spikes to mine or add some colors to mine. They're making it more of a fad, which, like anything, when it becomes mainstream, then you take away from what the root of the cause really is. So continue to chat about this thing. This is so interesting. But we'll move on to, do we